What's his name? I am recording. What is his name?
Adam.
Adam, I let in.
Okay,
He must have got off and needs to try to, oh, there they are now. Okay. Yeah, he wasn't on there when I looked before, so he should be
Sorry.
in now. Here we go. Okay. So, as I said, the minutes, the agenda is up on there. I'll give you some time to read through it. We are approving it as an agenda, not a consent agenda, simply because of the difficulties that Mary Beth and I had trying to get everything organized, sent out, and I'll give you some time to read that. And then we will, I will request a motion from the floor to approve the agenda.
I'd move to approve.
That's Pam.
Pam.
We need a second.
This is Kim Leslie. I'll second.
Thank you, Kim. Move to approve. Not move to approve. Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
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 You're all saying aye on mute. Okay, anybody disapprove the motion on the floor? No. Any abstentions? Hearing none, seeing none in the chat, the motion stands as approved. Thank you. Okay, next we move to the approval of the minutes. Let's look at the motion from the floor to approve the October minutes. I have to remind you all that Sharon is no longer attending these meetings as she's retired. And so we do need someone to move the motions from the floor since she's not here. And all you have to do is say so move and we will, and give us your name.
So moved. It's Liz Powell.
Thank you, Liz. And have a
I'll second. It's Kim Leslie.
Kim, thank you, Kim. We have a motion and a second from the floor. All those in favor of the motion, please respond by saying aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Those who disapprove the motion, say aye. Hearing none, those who abstain. Hearing none, seeing none in the chat, the motion to approve the October 21st minutes has passed. The December minutes will be tabled until our March meeting. There was a glitch in sending them out evidently. Okay. The treasurer's report, we are still at a standstill with the treasury because we need to get things straightened out at the bank. And as you will see later, the steering committee and membership committee are scheduled to meet February 16th. And there will be a discussion then on how to deal with the structure of our organization and how to go ahead and get the funds straightened out. At last check, there was probably $5 below, so $4,995 in the account, and that's because I'm subtracting $5 that they take out for a fee, and so we will be dealing with that, and we will verify the balances, and everything should be set by March. And we also will be having elections, so we will be needing a treasurer. You will receive all those descriptions again, as I sent out before, but let me remind you that the treasurer position, for anybody who's interested, it is not something that is huge. We do not receive grants. You're overseeing the $5,000 is essentially what it is. And that's, again, something that we will be speaking of at our steering committee and membership meeting on the 16th. So I am submitting this as the report. I am asking for a motion to accept the treasury report as presented.
So moved, Pam.
Thank you, Pam. I'm asking now for a second.
I'll second. Haley.
Thank you, Kaylee. The motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor of the motion respond by saying aye.
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 Okay, all those who are not in favor of the motion, please respond by saying aye, or you can write in the chat.
Aye.
Aye.
You're not in favor of it?
Oh, sorry, somebody was talking to me.
Oh, okay, I already received the approve aye. Now I'm asking for those who disagree to say aye. So I'm not hearing any disapproval. And abstentions, any abstentions? Hearing none, seeing none in the chat, the motion to approve the treasury report as presented carries. Thank you. I'm going to now give you a brief report from mine. We are doing the EHV. EHV is emergency housing vouchers, and those are connected through WIDA. We are progressing well. We are heading towards 25 vouchers to be approved through WIDA. I believe we have a few that have actually been approved and are now in the process of looking for housing. We're very excited about that. These are the people that are in our either permanent support or rapid rehousing. And the benefit of this is that they are able to move on to this voucher program, which is a Section 8 voucher. So there's not a time limit on that where they have to be out again in 2 years. So it's more permanent for them. And it allows us to open up some slots on our rapid rehousing and our permanent supportive housing beds. So we are excited about that. Our Medicaid grant that I spoke of at our last meeting is still in the queue at this point. Our person who Leah Ramirez is leaving her position, so we are fine. She has left us in good hands, but because of some of the paperwork and bureaucracy, we may have to wait until the spring. This goes all the way through the federal level for some approval from the state. And so, but we are moving forward on that. I'm excited about that. This will help us serve people who need housing, who are fitting into pregnancy or post-pregnancy, postpartum 12 months, who have drug or addiction or mental illness. Those are the people that will be especially helped with this. It will hopefully, when it goes through, we will have 2 positions out of this, which would be a supportive service person to work with another position of housing navigator to work getting those people into their housing. So that's another opportunity that we're taking to shrink the gap of housing and from our end, at least getting people into housing. So that's exciting. Our Leadership Council is meeting February 14th. We did not meet in January because that was Martin Luther King Day. So we moved it to another holiday, which is Valentine's Day. So I look forward to seeing you all then. And I stated in the December meeting that one of my goals was to expand out into the county. I have begun meeting. I met with the Burlington School District Homeless Liaison. Interesting connection, and I am hoping to move forward through the other community homeless liaisons at the other school districts, and then move together to bring them together as a group to start speaking about what we need. They are category 3, I believe, and that means that they are usually not funded through our CoC program. We fund, remember, category 1, which is literally homeless, and category 4, which would be for those who are escaping domestic violence, sexual assault, sexual abuse, or trafficking. I believe that's all I have at this point. I do continue to attend weekly meetings with the Emergency System Function 6, which is started out as the FEMA group, and so we are still addressing issues and concerns of COVID and how it relates to the housing services provided. We are also looking for resources through them as far as what we can send to you all. You should have received a few emails from me, those of you that are in shelters and programming that said if you needed personal protection equipment, PPE, that there was an opportunity to get that, as well as for the kits for testing. And so I will keep you informed on those. The ESF 6 also works with the COCs to present and work towards presenting the monthly homelessness service providers forum. And there is, if there isn't, there should be a link on our website. Bear with me, I'm the only one that's doing these things. So sometimes I fall behind, I apologize. But that is free for anyone who wants to attend. It's the third Monday of the month, and it's in the morning. I will put more on there if I don't have it up there. Any questions? Okay, hearing none, seeing none in the chat, I believe, seeing none in the chat, correct? You can still see the agenda, correct? Okay, thank you, Trent, because I can't tell that it's showing. Okay, so our committee reports, rating and ranking, no activity. We did have a city grant that went out that did not moved rather quickly, but the rating and ranking activity is taking a break after extensive work that they had to do to get our rating and ranking information done for our CoC grant, HUD CoC grant, that was turned in November, sorry. We are still waiting on that HUD decision for the CoC grant. So that's the only grant, I believe, maybe the city grant. Point in time was last night. No numbers are available because it's still very early. Thank you to all the volunteers who turned out to complete this important work. Scott, I'm just going to put you on the spot. Is there anything you would like to add?
Sure. It was Wednesday night, actually. Wednesday night into Thursday morning was point in time night. We had teams we had a combined team from Bethany and WRC, and then teams from CVI, from Halo, from Hope Center, Hospitality Center, ICA, Legal Action, and Safe Haven. So we had a number of groups out there. Where the last one we just did our existing street outreach team. So it was good to have an expanded set of people out in the field. So thanks to everyone for their participation in that. The count, all the teams were in about, I think the last one came in around 2:39 a.m. on Thursday morning. And then we did sort of a sweep after that to follow up on a couple other things between that time and about 4 a.m. It looks like the unsheltered count will be at least 4 people. It's possible it could increase a little. We're still checking 1 or 2 things, but it won't be more than probably 7. So I'm guessing the unsheltered count will be somewhere between 4 and 7 is my estimate at this point. And we are still collecting sheltered data. Arida is working on that, getting data from the shelters and a few other things we're working on. But I think it went fairly smoothly this time.
Thank you, Scott. Appreciate all the work you do putting this together. It's more than just one night that people go out. There's meetings ahead of time. There's coordinating. There's and then there's the usual street outreach work that Scott oversees at the Hope Center. So we do appreciate all the work that Hope Center does for the CoC and the street outreach people who are out there connecting with those who are out on the street and possibly need assistance. Continuing on, the steering committee and membership group will meet. They're scheduled. I sent it out last night. We're scheduled for February 16th. We will be discussing our organizational structure and membership criteria, the bank account, and the March elections. So that will be early enough. I did forget to mention this during our report. Mary Beth and I worked very hard. We have now scheduled all the Alliance meetings coming up with all the Zoom links that we both have, so she can send them out earlier because she doesn't have to wait for me to schedule the meeting through the Zoom link. So you will at least get the Zoom link super early, and we will work on, I'm sorry, someone's trying to get in here. And we will schedule and get the minutes out. Reminder, we are going to every other month, and that's why I keep saying in March. And so what will be good about that is we will be able to get the minutes and the packet together earlier. So that's just an addendum to that. Our other meeting, other committee report, the CoC System Performance Committee met, reviewed the data that we use for reporting to HUD, and then we had discussions on how to move forward to develop some solid objective measures and outcomes for rating and ranking projects, but also to give our funded projects and service projects an idea of what we expect and what the outcomes are actually showing, and give us an idea to talk forward and plan realistically. What do we need? What are we seeing? So if we're seeing low numbers in the shelter but high numbers on the street, why are we seeing that? If we're seeing low numbers on the street and low numbers in the shelter, that should be considered good. We want to make sure that it is good and not that we are missing serving somebody. So System Performance Committee will also be presenting next month, in March. And so they're preparing the report for that meeting. Did I miss anybody? Did I miss any committees that somebody knows? I think I got them all. So I'm going to request a motion at this time to accept all these committee reports as presented in the agenda and through my verbal report.
I move to receive and file all reports as presented. Pam?
Thank you,
I
Pam.
second Holly Anderly.
Thank you, Holly. Having moved and seconded, I'm now asking all those in favor of the motion, please respond by saying aye.
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 Okay. Very good. All those who are not in favor of the motion, please respond by saying aye or write in the chat. Hearing none and seeing none, all those who are abstaining from the vote, please respond by saying aye or put your message in the chat. Hearing none and seeing none, I'm going to call for the vote. Oh, I already called for the vote, sorry. The motion passes. Thank you all for that. Our meeting is going very slow. Well, let's see. At this point, I want to open this up to discussion. I mentioned at the December meeting what my goals looked like, reaching out to the west of the eye, expanding our connections, improving diversity and equity, establishing connections with people who are facing homelessness and who are homeless, and getting personal connections. So what I would like to ask from you is, what does this group look like from the Alliance perspective? What do you think it looks like going forward in 2022? Excuse me, here, I have to shut my door. My dog bells are going off. They saw somebody come in. Okay, so I'm looking for, more importantly, as individuals, we really need to look within ourselves and ask, what am I willing to do to address homelessness and further the mission of the Alliance? That's what I'm asking you, to reach inside and think about what we want the Alliance to look like in 2022. You can put them in the chat. You can talk about what direction you think. I know this is throwing this out at you, but really, we've had a year. We've brought in a lot of speakers. What do you want from these meetings, and what will further our mission? Bless you, Holly. Is that a sneeze? So I'm throwing this open to everybody out there, especially those of you that have been a part of this for quite a while.
I guess one of my questions would be, what can and should we be doing to make the CoC stronger within the community? to help the community recognize that what the COC is actually for. And it's not just an organization where everybody gets together to chit chat once a month.
Okay. Lori Bauer typed in knowing availability of resources, where to find them and how to refer those who need it. Thank you, Lori.
Hi, can everyone hear me or no?
Yes.
Okay. I guess this is Dolores with the Housing Authority of Racine County. I guess I just want, for just my history of sitting on past boards and ad committees and things, I guess I just want some guidance from this committee, what you feel you need me to do. Because that can be challenging too. And just sitting around at a meeting once a month chit-chatting, it doesn't give me a task, I guess. Say, hey, Dolores, I need you to help out at this, or can you do this? And that's something I guess I need to know what your ask is of me. I mean, could you send me a list of things you want me to volunteer at, or opportunities where you say, hey, Dolores, can you do this? Or can we have maybe some time where you can commit to, I mean, I used to sit on the board of directors for Halo, so I know Halo is very busy, and this time of year, I'm sure you're very short staffed, but do you need me to arrange a donation day? Or, I mean, I just need something like that. What do you want from me? I guess it's kind of was all over the place. Sorry about that.
No, that's a good point. Also, we are not Halo, so we're separate from Halo, so that's
Right,
people need
right.
to understand that.
Yeah.
I have put out calls at times for people to serve on different groups that I've been trying to organize, and so I'm asking this group, what's the best way? I don't know what all your interests are. So if I ask for something for diversity, I've gotten a few people on that needs to get started back up. I'm looking to put together for youth, a youth group to connect with the schools and any other concerns and issues we have surrounding youth in category 2 and 3. So my request, and I hear you, Dolores, and that is a good point. We've had rating and ranking. We've had the committees. We've asked for help on committees. My thought in extending what are you willing to do is maybe could be framed at how do you see your organization fitting in? Because I know a lot of people say, geez, my time is really, really, I'm gonna stop the sharing here. My time is really, really stressed to the breaking point, if you will. And so we don't have time to add more things to it. I don't have time to take a leadership position. I don't have time to sit on another committee. And so my thought is, what are you willing to do that will address and you personally, but also fits with what you're doing already, right?
Sure.
Because that's, how, and Dolores, you are sitting with us on the group that meets and will be meeting again to discuss connecting with the housing and vouchers and the shelters and back and forth. So you are a part of that. Any other comments, anything? I'm looking for feedback to make this better for the meetings, and also to tell me what it is that I need to do to get people to be able to volunteer. I mean, I've put job descriptions up, I've asked, I've talked. And I know personal invitations makes it easier to say yes, harder to say no. However, I'm not sure what everybody's interested in. And I am one person, that's the other thing. Okay, Lakeisha says, I would like to see the tangibles. How are the efforts of this group translated to reduced homelessness? As a result of these meetings, how many people are housed? I'm a new landlord growing my portfolio to meet the need of affordable housing in the community. Well, that's a good point. And one of the things that you will see at the next meeting in March is the report of the system performance, which will outline what we do and what the housing group has done. Now, the Alliance doesn't actually serve people. It's the members within the different member organizations. Some are funded through HUD programs, through Decker at the state level. Some are through ESG, ESGCB, and CDBG through the city levels. I think CDBG is also at the state level. So the funding comes from the outside sources. But as the CoC, we are collecting the data, and Arida is very good at that, and provides us feedback, which we use through the system performance. We've tried to give system performance updates twice a year, and this will be their first one for this year. They did, I believe, 2 of them last year. So, so that's a good point, and we will keep that on the agendas for them to provide updates. Let's see. Yep, I think I've gotten that. Last year we did have providers speak. Is that something that you still want to have presentations from the community?
Yeah, hi, this is Kathy with Racine Revitalization. And I was just going to say that. So I'm not sure how many people on this committee understand what we do. And right now in the works, we're going to have 6 houses ready to be sold to low income. And that's what we do. The other thing we're trying to do is find more supportive houses for Halo. Right now, Halo's in one of them, and we want to grow that. So I want people to know, especially on this committee, what we do is we rehab homes and we sell them to low income. They have to go through the HUD guidelines. And that's what we do here, and also our supportive housing. And I think it's important that maybe some of the people on this, because I'm new here. I mean, I just started here in August, and you know, I know Holly, I know Teresa, I know Pam, but I'm not sure what the others do and how I can help them and what we do in the affordable housing. And that's what we've done for 5-6 years now.
Good points. And Kathy, I made a note that perhaps you will be able to do a presentation of what your organization is all about at one of our meetings.
Absolutely, I would be, yes, absolutely. I have a couple of PowerPoints that I've been using, so people can understand what we do, see what we do, and actually meet the people that we help. I would be honored, yes.
Okay,
Teresa.
so you're on the list. Holly.
Teresa, do we actually have a list someplace, sort of like a directory for our CoC Alliance members, so that we know who we can call and at what number or email about different things? If I wanted to link up with Kathy, if I wanted to link up with Jeanette or Kristen, I mean, I know how to link up with most of you, but you know, for somebody that's new, 3 months ago, I didn't have a clue how to get in touch with anybody. So that would be a big help. And if we could post it someplace that it's easily accessible. I don't know what our CoC or Alliance website looks like right now, but that might be handy.
Oh no, that's an excellent idea, and I could use perhaps someone to kind of brainstorm with me and go through the resources with me, a couple of people. If you're interested in that, please put it in the chat to kind of work with me. I do my work through Zoom. We work through Zoom. I open up a shared drive, Mary Beth has names and emails of those who have attended. Perhaps the best thing for me to do is have us send out an email or put up a Google form for everybody to fill out and then create the directory type thing from there. That way people who want to be in it can be in it. We will know that the emails are correct and accurate and that the phone numbers are correct and accurate and all up to date. Does that sound like something you're talking about?
Mhm.
Thank you. Kim, you are drafted. Awesome. Kim Leslie, thank you. Noted. And what we'll do is Mary Beth and I will get started on that Google form, what information we want. We'll put that out to everybody. And I should add that one of the things that I had said I was going to do and we'll be starting in most likely February is getting us hooked up with Constant Contact, which will allow us to better maintain our list of members and designate who's on which committee so we can get these things out faster, the information that we need to do. Adding within that, Lori Bauer, adding within that directory what the function of each organization is and what service they offer. Yes, a small paragraph of what it is, that would be great. I mentioned I am going to be working with the county on putting together a directory listing. The county exec evidently wants a listing of all homeless services that we have, that we know of. And so this will feed in directly with that. That's great. That's a good idea. That's an action that we can see an output for. Okay. It's possible then that we can look at, have a section in that we would say, what would you like as a description that would be available for anybody in the public, general public, who you would like them to know about you? Because some of you are working with programs that the general public may want to also know about. So we have the shelters, we have Hope Center, we have Hospitality Center. So we could actually have two types of directories, one for the general public who is looking for needs and one for our purposes that would be for connecting within the service providers. Holly, do you want to say something else? Oh, okay. I wasn't sure.
No, I was actually just looking for somebody's email.
Oh, okay. All
And
right.
hey, Teresa, if you're working on creating a list for the public too, I would say partner with UW Extension because they've got their big old like 80 some odd page resource that has all of the descriptions and all of everything. No need to reinvent the wheel. I'm sure they'll give you permission to use their excerpts. They have a whole thing on housing.
That's true. We could do that for, make sure we have that for the general public available, and then have our list for providers for this group. We'll see how we can use that. Very good.
Can I just mention one more thing? Because I actually enjoy, I learn a lot from these meetings, but I also want to share what we have as well. Like right now I have a 1-bedroom, very large apartment available right here on Washington. And it's only for affordable housing. So the rent is, I believe, is only $545. And you have to meet, obviously, the income guidelines. But I also want people to know that as well. So I think, maybe in the next meeting, I can, I don't know if everybody wants to update what they have available, like this unit just came available January 21st.
Okay.
And it's a beautiful apartment. It's ready to go, but it's the rent that would help the low income or somebody who's just, getting back on their feet. So I also wanted to mention that. I'd like to share what I have available at the meetings, if that's possible.
Yes, and we do have community sharing time When I initially restructured these meetings, it was to have the first half of the meeting, which would be about an hour, to conduct business and have a presentation, questions and answers. And then maybe that would move into an hour and a half worth, and then a half hour's worth of sharing amongst the groups. This stems from when we were meeting in person, and it seemed like there were a lot of side meetings afterwards of people going, hey, did you know that I have this, or I have that, or we're doing this. So we definitely want to keep that part of the meetings. The last few meetings, people have been pretty quiet. So I think starting this new year with saying, this is our intention, speak up and tell us everything that you have.
Teresa, I just wanted to give you real quick some information. I also had to do a resource binder in a book years ago for a place I used to work for. And I used, the Gateway has a group called the Biz Squad. And it's people who are in communications or in that field of communications degree, that they put together the binder for us, and they absorbed all the costs in it. So, and they did all the resource and they did all the homework on it. Also, another good resource to go to would be for a project such as that would be Leadership Racine, where a group got together and they did the whole thing, and it's through the RAMAC. So Leadership Racine could do a project of helping you put those resources together. And they did, when I was on Leadership Racine, we did a pamphlet, we did a video, and we did all kinds of sorts of things, folders, things like that. So Leadership Racine too will absorb the cost because they get so much money to do a project. Just
Thank you.
resources for you.
Thank you. Thank you for those leads. So this sounds like a good project. A virtual bulletin board, Holly. I'm not sure how that would work. How does that work?
Am I muted? Okay.
No, you're good.
There's ways to do it. I'm not real IT or technologically savvy, but that might be something that we could link up with Paige to find out if it's possible on our CoC Alliance website.
I know, doesn't Racine County Family Resources.com, don't they have a community calendar that you can put stuff on?
Who does? I'm sorry, I didn't catch
Right.
the first.
Racine County Family Resources.com, like linking people to mental health services
Yeah.
and all that. I think they have a community calendar, so we may be able to connect with them to see how that platform works. I know
Right.
nothing about tech.
That
stuff.
might work
Sure.
too.
Sure. Well, what's interesting is that, again, I was trying to get those, get those resources going when people were telling me what was available on our calendar. It was difficult to keep up with things. Again, I'm one person, and that's why I need to get like small groups of people who are willing to pull together and say, we'll take this on. A resource fair, so people will know what's available to them. I think there are a number of them out there, but we can certainly make them noticed and visible by putting them on our website.
You know, just along the lines of a resource fair, I'm thinking in terms of once you get the constant contact up and running, Teresa, it might not be a bad idea to publish an occasional resource list that could go out through constant contact, just updated like once a quarter or twice a year, something like that, and send it out to the folks we have on constant contact. So it's less than a full-on fair, but maybe could be a follow-on to a fair or a precursor to a fair.
So perhaps you're saying maybe have people let me know what they're doing, and then ahead of time they would all have their agendas of what they're all planning these resource fairs ahead of time. So we can
Yeah.
all ahead of time.
Yeah.
And I'm sounding, it's sounding overwhelming now. I'm thinking that possibly we need a couple of people that would be willing to be an outreach group that could work with me to pull all these things together so that I'm not the only one doing these works.
I'm in. I'll help wherever I can.
Okay, that sounds
Cool.
good. Kathy, you're
Kathy.
on it.
And the resource fairs, I know where I used to work in a nonprofit in Milwaukee, helped just to reach the public, because there's a lot of people, you know, I go back to the cities that really can't afford internet.
Right.
You know,
Yes.
they just can't go on, you know what I mean? So it's, they reliant on somebody telling them word of mouth.
Exactly.
Kaylee, same here means you want the same thing or you want to
No, I'll help.
volunteer?
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
volunteering.
Okay,
Hey, Teresa, it's Becca. I'll volunteer with this committee too.
Becca, thank you.
Hey, Teresa.
Becca is our housing navigator. For those of you that weren't here at our December meeting, Becca is our housing navigator that was recently hired, and she is. We'll probably, as she gets more into it, then have her do a small presentation on what she's doing and how it's working, and the joys of finding housing in a place where everybody says, "Oh, it's hard to find."
On that
housing."
committee too.
On this committee, the Get the Word
Yeah.
Out.
Yeah.
I'm going to call it the Get the Word Out committee. Okay.
Okay.
Mel, you had your Melanie.
Yeah, so I just wanted to say something really quick. We are, for Fight to End Exploitation, we're working with a few youth serving organizations to get some more services up for youth who are either being exposed or exploited when it comes to human trafficking. And part of that will be addressing teen dating violence, and giving them some preventative resources when it comes to healthiness in their lives. And I know you kind of mentioned having a youth council or some youth services or support. So as we're getting that kind of set up on our end, because we have received a grant to kind of begin some of those targeted services, I can circle back with you and see if there's a way that people who are already on this committee or in this group could potentially kind of join that. And then we could give updates. And that's a way that you're not taking on more work and it's the work that we're already doing. So if that's something people are interested in, you can keep that in mind. And as we're getting more info on that, I can circle back with everyone in here if we want to have somebody who's representing, or a few people representing youth who are homeless or in transition.
That would be great, and I will keep you in mind also as I start to pull the school homeless liaisons together through the county.
Great.
I think that I know that they would like to hear more about the resources that are available countywide, and so that would be, I'm sure this would be very good for them.
Sounds good. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to be working with Safe Haven and potentially Bethany Apartments in WRC. So I'll just keep you connected on it and we can go from there.
Awesome. You're on the list. One other thing that Rita and I are trying to work on is a qualitative aspect of our data. We recognize that data is, for the most part, objective. Our system performance measures and reports are great. They're awesome. We have been working with a HUD TA on looking at the qualitative aspect, the story part of it. So while we quantify everything within the system performance, we'd also like to get to the point where we start doing some interviews and some connecting with people who are in the shelters, who are using the services of our housing service providers. And so if you have if you are good reaching out with people, if you have the ability to talk with people and willing to be part of a survey, almost, if you will, I would recommend also that you have the knowledge of working with people who have experienced trauma. That would be extremely important. But our goal this year is to add the qualitative stories of people and get their review of the services we are providing. We are the in-group. We are the people who have the power right now, and we are making decisions. Our goal, and part of what I had said in December, was to have more representation of people with lived experiences in all aspects of the CoC and Alliance, and not just sitting at the table, but also possibly moving into the leadership roles. And so we also need to hear their voices on what's working and what isn't working. We think it's working maybe because of the numbers and the few people that we speak to on a casual basis. But how about let's get their story and find out what's going on. I need people who are good at interviewing and good at reaching out to people. It's not everybody's cup of tea. It's not every the people that are already case managers. There may be a way that we could, I don't want to add on to their work. That's the issue. They're already, case managers are already stacked with tons of people that they're working with. And in order for them to give quality work to the people and quality attention to the people, we can't keep shelving more and more on their plate, pushing more and more on their plate. So if you are interested in being a part of the qualitative outreach to individuals who are currently experiencing homelessness or are using our services, that would include those who are in rapid rehousing, those that are in permanent supportive housing, those who are through street outreach, those who are in our shelters, please let me know in the chat, or let me know now. And there is no job description at this point because we're in the process of putting this together. And as a group, we can put this together and decide just what would be the best way to do this. Scott.
Yeah, I do have a question on that, I guess, because when you look at qualitative interviews and stuff, there's a wide range of what you do with that. If you're collecting stories, as you say, one would be the aspect of promotion and human interest stories. But if you're looking at sort of an evaluative thing of evaluating how we're doing, then it's not just collecting stories. You would start with an evaluation question that's going to look at your overall performance. Then you would design the interview that you're doing with people based on that evaluation question. So it's a little bit different than just collecting stories for, putting in a magazine or public or making us look good and things like that. So I'm assuming that you're really talking about an evaluation process and a qualitative evaluation sort of thing, not just a human interest story.
Thank you. Thank you for clarifying my words. Yes, we are looking for their input as to how the services are doing, and the questions, a number of the questions are available on the tool that we're using. So again, it is more to Scott's point that way, that we want to get their input, feedback on how it's going within the programming. I guess I'm use the word stories because I know that as you start asking people questions about how services are going, they do start sharing their stories. This is not to put their stories out into the public. We walk a fine line between sharing stories, showing success, and exploiting people who are experiencing trauma and living in crisis for a moment, from moment to moment. So we at this point are looking for connecting and pulling together the stories of their experiences. Let's take the word story out of there, getting their experiences using our program. So it is evaluative. So just putting that out there, and Arita and I are working on, are trying to get that started and going. We need to evaluate our coordinated entry. We need to evaluate how they felt they were received within the process of getting admitted admitted, accepted into the shelter, into different programs, how their weight was on the coordinated entry list, how getting papers and forms collected, what struggles they had getting those, so we can maybe streamline things. We know we know some of the process problems, and from the case manager side, we need to hear it from the consumer side.
Teresa, along the lines of data collection, I find myself wondering after a conversation that I was part of the other day, how many people are loath to participate in getting services because they're worried about what kind of data we collect and how that data is used. In other words, are there people that are afraid to come to agencies and seek services because they don't want to give their social security number, they don't want to say where they're living, they're afraid that maybe because they may have legal troubles, we may link them up with the police, or or just basically a lack of trust in the government and in agencies.
Mhm. And again, that would be a good section to put on and find a question. These questions will all be vetted, and our HUD TA is working with us on these. So that would be something that might come out in addressing some people. And we may have to, figure out how to reach people who, that's going to be a hard population to reach, because we don't necessarily know who they are. So that's a good point. Any other ideas? These are a lot. This is good to think about. I appreciate it. I appreciate the people that volunteered, have stepped up. So perhaps we move now into community sharing. Anybody have any sharing? I know Kathy started that off. Anybody have any events going on, any fundraising, any celebrations?
Actually, yes, if I can speak again.
Sure can, Kathy.
We are planning, and it's in the works, June 4th, our first our RP night market. So we have 72 vendors we're going to reach out to. It's going to be in this large parking lot, 1601 Washington. We're inviting vendors for produce, vegetables, crafts, and it's going to be from 4 to 9. And what we're going to do is light up over the booths and the tents, and we're going to have a couple of food trucks out there as well. The only thing I'm trying to look for is a band. So I'm not sure if one of these agencies on here wants to set up, obviously we're charging rent for the vendors, but if somebody wants to set up a booth and have some brochures, or if you want me to set up a table with brochures for people, for resources, I'm willing to do that. It's obviously at no cost. So the date is June 4th.
Thank you.
Kathy, where are you looking at holding that?
Well, it's actually going to be here in the parking lot. I originally wanted to close down Owen, but working with the city was very difficult. So Aaron, who owns ANS, he owns this. It's the old bank on the corner across from the corner house. His parking lot, it's huge. So we're going to do it there. It's in a private lot. So we have more flexibility. I don't have to get a permit, but I did, let the city know this is what we're going to do. If there's any additional costs, let me know. The food trucks will have to get their own permits. So, and I think that's the best way. It kind of reduced our costs. So, and the parking lot is large enough where we can fit quite a few vendors in there. And we're going to have, I think it was 10 by 10 booth sections.
Thank you. Any other sharing?
I'm not 100% sure exactly what to say, but just a little brief update on what's going on at Halo. Our numbers have blossomed. At the moment, we have 113 people under shelter control because of the COVID-19 Omicron. I've worked to try to reduce some of the crowding in the shelter. We've put some of our folks that had been in shelter for a while into hotels just to spread people out and try to curb any possible spread. But we do not have, quote, motel vouchers available. And so we're trying to reduce what usually happens when we put people in hotels is that the Hope Center street outreach all of a sudden gets a gazillion calls saying, you know, oh, we heard there's hotel vouchers available. So we're trying to reduce that strain on them by doing it this way. But we are taking people and working as best we can. And does anybody have any questions for me? I know 20 lashes with a wet noodle, but I haven't been able to be at the Alliance meetings for a while, so I apologize.
No need to apologize.
Okay, great. Well, if you guys do have any questions, I've got an amazing team here. I notice I've got a number of my folks that are at the Alliance meeting. So if there's any questions or if you're in doubts about anything or you want to know about our policies or procedures, give us a call because one of our big goals is to try to eradicate the misinformation that's out in the community about Halo. So we like an opportunity to clarify. And thank you guys all for all your support as we move forward to take care of those that are vulnerable. Appreciate you all.
Thank you, Holly and Halo staff. Seth, is there any news from Hospitality Center that you'd like to share? Anything going on there?
I was trying to find my unmute button. There we go. Yeah, thanks for the invitation. So we are working through site visits right now with leaders of the Hope Center and Halo and RVM and NAMI and Catholic Charities to visit a few places. One, St. Ben's in Milwaukee, next week's the St. Paul Opportunity Center in St. Paul, Minnesota, and then the St. Patrick Center in St. Louis the week following that, to be able to bring some lessons from those communities for what it looks like to have a co-located resource center in a city. Asking questions like, how do they coordinate data? How do people enter into a location and receive services in the most efficient way? But also, like Holly was mentioning, kind of addressing these questions of, whether or not people are turned away by kind of more formalized institutions and processes. And with the goal of bringing that to a campaign and design committee that the Hospitality Center is operating to see a co-located resource center come to fruition here in the city of Racine. So there's way more to that, a lot of committee work and stuff going on, but that's our current endeavor. So want to thank all the partners here that are part of the CoC who are in that process with us and dedicating a lot of time to that endeavor.
Very good. And what is currently going on at the Hospitality Center?
We are currently still seating people inside for meals. We have 10 tables that have 4 chairs each, so it's 40 people that can sit inside at a time. We are open up for breakfast and lunch. And we're seeing, during the really cold snaps, we see less people that come out, but then we're always serving between 80 and 100 meals a day. People are still able to take meals to go if they need to, although we do prefer that people would actually use our trays and doors to limit the amount of garbage that goes out onto the street. So, we've seen, as we do for, all the time, we see people coming across the street from the jail after they're released. We see folks who are, staying outdoors downtown, and then, folks who are just coming to and from employment, before, after, second and third shift jobs, coming across the street from McMinn. So, a lot of the day-to-day operations are what they were pre-pandemic, just with some adjustments here and there. We have had some really great success with 6 COVID vaccine clinics in the past few months. We've had 180 people vaccinated here at the hospitality center. So that has been a really great effort, and it's been really great to see that people who were very skeptical at the beginning, needed the incentive to get their first shots, are lining up to get their booster shots without an incentive. So I tell people the incentive is, you don't get to have a stay in the hospital. So
Yeah, very good. Very good to hear. Thank you.
Yep.
Any other updates? Elizabeth, can you tell us, perhaps, I'm going to put you on the spot, what's going on at Legal Action?
Sure. Hi. So I would say that we've actually seen a little bit of a drop off in eviction referrals. So that's great. I think that's probably just anecdotal. However, I don't think that, the eviction problem is being solved or anything. We have added, well, I shouldn't say added, Carmen Ayers, who I know a lot of folks on this call probably know, who was doing work exclusively in the Uptown neighborhood, is also going to start taking cases in the wider just Racine area. So hopefully we'll have more capacity for folks. In my experience, there is still at least one judge, a couple judges maybe, who are still doing Zoom hearings rather than requiring folks to be in person, which is great. I think it's so much easier for clients and safer for clients when they don't have to attend in person. Still seeing a lot of folks who are applying for emergency rental assistance, and I know that the amounts that folks are getting is a lot more, which is always really fantastic to hear. I think that sometimes we have to work a little bit more with our clients to help them process if, their income loss is, related to COVID in any way. And then just anecdotally, I will say that I feel like I'm seeing more clients come through who have worked to get emergency rental assistance, and then their landlords aren't accepting it. And I don't know if that's just from, like fatigue of the past couple of years with the moratorium, if landlords have just sort of been fed up. I guess I'll also say anecdotally that a lot of my clients are getting notices, and then sort of that goes hand in hand with their landlords not accepting emergency rental assistance because they're saying that their landlords are selling. So I think a lot of the smaller landlords that maybe just own a couple of houses, maybe just one house, are taking advantage of the real estate market and are getting out of the renting business. I've had a lot of clients come through where they're just being evicted. They've gotten notices because their landlord often is an elderly person and is just selling off their housing stock.
Interesting. Thank you for sharing.
I'll say something about United Way.
Okay.
This is Mary Beth. United Way is now, through their volunteer income tax assistance programs, is now making appointments or booking appointments. So one can file and prepare their taxes electronically. We continue to do this virtually, but there are sites available as well, like the library, the Workforce Development Center, and Case High School, I think on Saturdays too. So I will send this link so you can refer folks to that, to use the VITA services this tax season. Thank you.
I got a little update for Racine Unified. So we are, what I just passed, about 600 kids were identified as homeless this school year. But we actually have money from the government, so from the state. We have some, it's ARP, HCY money that is meant to help just our students experiencing homelessness. So one thing that we did realize is a huge need for our families. And I know, Teresa, you're talking to other homeless liaisons about this as well. But we are looking to set aside some of that money. It is short term, only about 3 years that we do have this funding, but we're looking to partner with an existing community resource that has like housing navigation. So it would be paid through us. So that way we would be able to work with our McKinney-Vento defined homeless youth and not just HUD fund, like HUD definition. So if anybody is interested or has somebody already doing this, we're looking for maybe just like a part-time ordeal that can help our McKinney-Vento identified families navigate housing.
Thank you. We should talk about that together some more.
Kaylee, I'd be interested in being involved in that conversation as well.
Okay. Wonderful. Thank you.
Jotting down some notes. Okay. Becca or Arida, I gave a little bit of an update on the EHVs. Do you have anything that you can clarify on it?
Hi, this is Becca. We are making good progress. We have about, I think we'd said 35, if I'm not mistaken, that have been either completed or referred over to WIDA. And we have a few that are waiting to convert into actual leases. I'm hoping a couple will be by the 1st of February and even more by the 1st of March. And the struggle, as always, is to find new landlords with 1 bedrooms that are rent reasonable and fair market rent value for the clients.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for your hard work on that too. Any other? Scott, what are your working hours at Hopes?
So by appointment, we're just about any time. The office is open Tuesday to Friday, 8 to 2. Then outreach, we're out on the streets at least 3 nights per week. During this month, we were doing emergency weather outreach. So anytime it's in single digits or below, we're out every night until the weather breaks. So outreach hours vary from 9 p.m. to, the early hours of the morning. But the lobby's open from 8 to 2, Tuesday, Friday.
Thank you. Well, let me see. Okay. Does anybody, if there isn't anything else that people would like to have, I will give you back 45, 50, 55, 60, quite a bit. 45 minutes of your time. I appreciate all the input that people have given today. I appreciate the volunteering that people have. So thank you very much. I have a motion to adjourn.
This is Kim Leslie. I'll motion to adjourn the meeting for the day.
Thank you, Kim. We have a second.
So moved, Holly.
A second, okay. All those in favor?
Wait, real quick. Someone put
Kaylee?
Katie, could you put your info in the chat? Did they mean me,
Can't
Kaylee,
hear
or
you,
is there a
Kaylee.
Katie on here?
I can't hear you, Katie. Kaylee, sorry.
Yeah, no, that's what I was saying, because somebody put Katie, could you put your info in the chat? Did they mean me, as in Kaylee? Whoever iPhone is? Because I don't see a Katie.
That's for you, and that I believe is Angela Sanchez from Safe Haven.
No, that's
Yes,
fine.
I'm sorry. I'm
RUSD.
sorry. I said it wrong. I was trying to type as I was parking. I apologize. Yes, I would like your information on. I know Shabraya has it, but I would like it because I would like to discuss some further things with you in regards to that Vento.
No, that's totally fine. I put my stuff in there now. I just wanted to make sure I didn't want to ignore it or answer it if it wasn't for me. So just checking.
No,
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it.
So all
Thank
those
you.
in favor of logging off, go ahead and log off. And if anybody needs to stay on to talk to Kaylee and Angela, if you need to discuss something real quick, that's fine.
Katie, if you have time to stay on for a second.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm going to stop the
Thank you.
taping.